Yes, the one-man war machine himself comes to Sega doing what he does best, helping those in need while taking out entire armies single-handedly. This is Sega Masters. There's no mistaking the man in the bandana holding a weapon of mass destruction. This would indeed be John Rambo, psychologically scarred Vietnam vet and all-American action hero taking center stage in today's episode. Which does unfortunately mean we're getting our first taste of the scourge of the video game realm, the movie licensed game. The Master System library does contain its fair share of movie games, and in fact this is the first of 3 carts starring a Sylvester Stallone character. At least that's what it seems on the surface. Rambo first burst onto the scene in the 1982 action flick First Blood, which was based on a novel by David Morrell with Sylvester Stallone portraying the man himself. However, when people think of Rambo, they often think of the 1985 sequel First Blood Part 2, the most successful of the film series. It seemed a video game based on Rambo's exploits would be a no-brainer, and there have been a few attempts. The NES certainly got a Rambo cartridge courtesy of Acclaim and Pack-In Video, though the less said about that debacle the better. Sega's cart, on the other hand, is a vertical run-and-gun that sees Rambo on a mission to rescue hostages being held in some hostile country, which of course means battling an enemy force through 6 different environments. Each level has you making your way upward, gunning down the various infantry in your way, as well as tanks and other weapons out to end your mission. You're armed with a machine gun that has infinite ammo but barely any range, and a limited supply of arrow bombs that act like explosives. A number of flashing huts are found along your path, and blowing them open with an arrow will release a POW, who will happily toss you a power-up in return. This bonus will either replenish your arrows, kill all the enemies on the screen, or enhance your firepower, which you'll need to make your weapon even slightly effective. Like most other shooters, one hit kills you, though you do respawn right where you died at. At the end of each stage, you find a barricade blocking your path, which you need to destroy in order to advance. However, the game forces you to survive an onslaught of foes until you get your opening. Once the center part of the barricade finally starts glowing, you simply nail it with an arrow bomb to blast it open, and make your way through the doorway onto the next level. And so the game continues for 5 more stages. This card also allows you to enlist a friend for some simultaneous 2-player action. Player 2 gets to control Rambo's partner Zane, a character created specifically for this game who's basically Rambo's long-lost twin brother with darker skin and a yellow headband. You can pretty much tell how much Sega's Rambo borrows from SNK's arcade coin-op Ikari Warriors. Which is actually ironic considering how much Ikari Warriors was inspired by Rambo to begin with. Rambo certainly does a solid job with its presentation, starting with the well-done pic of the man himself on the title screen. The different areas have some good variety between them, and contain some nice detailed landscapes as well. The sprites are also nicely done while sporting some decent animation. As far as the audio goes, the background music isn't too bad as the themes are pretty catchy and seem to fit each setting, but they do get repetitive in short order. However, as you play this cart, it isn't long before you notice that none of the other characters or any of the events from the film are depicted, even though the game is supposedly inspired by it. The horrible secret is, this cart wasn't even a Rambo game to begin with. The truth is, this game originally began in Japan as Ashura and featured 2 protagonists who obviously aren't Rambo. Other than tweaks to the hero's sprites, this game plays exactly the same. I'm guessing Sega decided Ashura felt enough like a Rambo title that they could slap the license on it for its American release and get away with it. they could have at least billed this card as an original Rambo adventure not based on the movie. Interestingly enough, the game would go through another identity change when Sega later released it in Europe. It became known as Secret Commando, and again plays almost exactly the same, just with all references to Rambo removed. Incidentally, it's this version that Nintendo would eventually release on the Wii Virtual Console in 2009. Getting back to the US version, the fact that this game isn't 100% true to the film can be overlooked if it played well, just like Sunsoft's Batman and Gremlins 2 games on the NES. Rambo does have the ingredients of at least a solid run and gun for the console, but any potential for actual fun is completely ruined by the frustrating difficulty. It's game over once you exhaust all your lives, and your session can end even within seconds of powering up the cartridge. Rambo must have lead in his boots because he moves way too slowly across the screen, making it hard to evade enemy fire. In addition, you can only fire your weapons in 5 directions, and most of the soldiers keep running in weird zigzag angles, forcing you to shoot in their general direction while hoping you hit something. When you're facing multiple foes that swarm at you, it can be tough to nail them all before you get picked off yourself. You do have somewhat of a strafing ability, but only when you're moving backwards. You better be prepared to invest a lot of practice and persistence to make any headway in this game. Secret continue codes are offered from the second level on, yet you start at the beginning of the stage and not where you actually died at, forcing you to traverse across territory you barely survived the first time through. The 2-player mode does allow on-the-spot continues, but for the first 2 stages only. I will confess, I did use a game enhancer to get unlimited lives, which made it possible to record all the game footage. I really wanted to like this game, and who wouldn't have loved to step into Rambo's shoes themselves? Whether this was a true Rambo game or not, Sega's Rambo still had the potential to be a solid shooter and a nice substitute for Ikari Warriors, especially for 2 players. But there are just too many frustrating moments to really make this game worth your time. Give it a try if you have a high threshold for pain, but otherwise look to other cards like the Ninja for your run and gun needs.